In weekly Torah portion, and we're in Parshat Mikatz. We're going to start in chapter 42. Everybody knows how Yoseph got to power. Just to reminisce, Pharaoh had two dreams, and his magicians or his interpreters, depending on who you look at, did not interpret it well for Pharaoh. They said, one of the things was, they said, you'll have 7 daughters and they'll die, you'll have this and this will happen. Pharaoh, knowing that as a pharaoh, he only dreams national dreams, the interpretations did not talk to him. So what happened was, as he's a little like getting upset that nobody can interpret it, suddenly the wine steward says, I have to remind the Pharaoh of what happened a couple of years ago, that we dreamed a dream, the baker and I dreamed a dream. This guy, the Hebrew servant, he's a Hebrew, he doesn't understand our language. He was very insulting in the whole thing, just like John Kerry in his speech about Israel. Okay, so he was very demeaning to the servant, namely Yoseph. But he got the dreams right. He knew how to interpret them. Pharaoh pulls him out of jail. They shave him. He makes him look good, dress up the guy. Good. He comes before Pharaoh. Pharaoh tells him the dream, and he tells him what happened is God is telling you that there's going to be a famine in the land of Egypt. He's giving you a forewarning, and for the next 7 years you'll have a land it'll be a great land, and then you're going to have the famine that will last for 7 years. It'll be such a hard famine that you won't remember the good that you had unless you appoint somebody who can put stuff away in the storehouse, keep it well, and then you can sell to the people and you'll be good. Pharaoh likes what he says, and he talks to his people and say, are we going to find anybody better than this guy? They all say no. He gets a pay raise. He goes from slave in jail, a jailed slave, to Viceroy, gets a brand new name, Safnat Paneach, which you'll never, by the way, this is the only time he's ever referred to in the Torah as Safnat Paneach. So whether or not that was his title of the office, whether or not that's what Pharaoh called him.
We don't know what that means.
Knowledge of secrets. But the truth is, Ibn Ezra says it's not a Hebrew word. Yeah. If it is a Hebrew word, this means this, but they don't think it's a Hebrew word. So, but the point is that he becomes the viceroy, and by the way, he also marries. I'm just giving you a real fast background. He also, in Pharaoh, in order to make him legit in everybody's eyes, because he was a slave. Remember, he was a slave. He was working for Potiphar. Potiphar had a daughter, Asnat. Well, what's the best way to show that this is a free man? To marry him off to his boss's daughter. So Asnat and Potiphar got a demotion. He became the priest of On, became castrated, because he apparently wanted to do something with Yosef. And that was a no-no. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there, but let's suffice to say they say that he became the priest. He became a priest. He became a castrated. He becomes a priest. What better to do? Okay, and then like I said, he married. So Yosef marries Potiphar's daughter Asnat. He has 2 children, Ephraim and Manasseh, and he's running the country. Everybody's good. He's collecting for 7 years. So much so that Torah's. By the way, Asnat bar Potiphar, according to the Dazakanim at the Midrash, is the half sister of Yosef. It's a half sister of Yosef, or cousin, or something like that. Because
is he really Jewish? I mean,
Asnat was Jewish according to that. Well, Jewish. They didn't have Jews until Sinai. So, of the family of Yaakov.
Say that. We always use that term.
Right. So she would have been Jewish according to that. Yeah. The way he identified her, again, this is all from the Dazakanim, is that she had I talked about this before, she had an amulet that was a half piece, and he had the other things you put together. It showed that they were mated. And again, you have something from Greek literature about that. Greek mythology, that they had the same sort of. I remember learning Greek mythology like that, and so in my high school years, long time ago. But it's a fun story too. But so they got it from this. Obviously, the Greek got it from this. And so what happened is, so like I said, they get married, they have kids, Ephraim and Manasseh, and everything's going well. And then, of course, you hit the famine. He was taken away from his family at what age? 17. And he's now, when he gets to power, he's 30. Then it was 7 years of 7 years of good. He's collecting. He's 37. 2 years later, he's 39. That's when the famine hits, and that's where we are. So it's 22 years later. You have to have that in mind. When you read the Torah, it doesn't seem like that. It's 22 years later. Let's go. So what happened was, again, the famine is hard. So Vayar Yaakov, his father, that's what we're talking about, Yosef's father, he saw that there was provisions in Mitzrayim. So Yaakov said to his children, his sons, Lama Titra'u. Strange phrase. Why do you cause yourself to be seen? Okay? And they translate this as, why, where is it? Why do you make yourself conspicuous?
Why do you cause yourself to be seen?
Conspicuous.
So you stand out, in other words.
Well, why are you standing out? Right. Yeah. So now, what happened? First question you have to ask is, what do you mean Yaakov saw? Yaakov's living in Hebron. Yeah. Now, if you look at a map, Google Maps, if you will, you'll see Hebron is not very close to Mitzrayim.
It's an expression. It's like...
Correct. It's an expression. What
somebody
it means.
Explain something, and you said, "Oh, I see."
Or if he heard about it. He heard about it. They got their. That's what Rashi says. He heard about it, so it says he saw it. Now that's one thing.
So they translate as he perceived.
Perceived. Good. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is, it says, Rashi brings down, what does it mean? He saw Rabas Beklaria. He saw through a vision of Hashem that there was provisions in Mitzrayim, but it was not a complete prophecy in that he was not informed that this provider would be Yosef. So all he does is gets a prophecy. Either he heard the news, he heard the news on the radio, and on the paper, the Canaan courier came to him, and so he sees, there's food in Mitzrayim. Let's go. Then he says, Lama Tidra'u. Rashi explains, why do you appear independent before the people, before the children of Yishmael and children of Esav, our cousins? Because if they see that you have food, then they're not going to go down to Mitzrayim, really they'll come to us. Then we won't have any food. So Lama Titra'u, why are you making yourselves, causing people to look at you? Now the interesting thing is also, the Art Scroll brings down a very interesting comment, which, here, he says on page 232, Jacob's rhetorical question has been the theme of many leaders who have exhorted their fellow Jews not to flaunt their wealth and success to envious and often anti-Semitic neighbors. Whatever food Jacob's family had was honestly acquired, but even honest resources should be displayed judiciously. So here's a common thing of where we don't show all of our stuff. The only time we do is on Pesach. Pesach says you should bring out your best dishes and don't hide anything away. Bring it all up, because that day we're free. That day Hashem is protecting us, and there's no problem. But every other day, Shabbos included, we don't put everything out. We want to be humble about it. Now, if you go to New York, so it doesn't really apply. But apparently,
what do you mean?
In other words, in New York, if you go to certain sections, the house can be falling apart, but they have their chandelier. They have a chandelier, and it's a beautiful chandelier, and so on and so forth. But it seems that they want to do it up. But it's not a good thing to, according to this, it's just not good. No, people see it. The windows are open.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So it's never a good thing to do, to show everything. Again, I mean, you have to. What it means is don't brag. Don't be a braggart. So that's what he's learning from this verse of, why are you showing yourself? Why are you causing yourself to be seen? Or why are you being conspicuous about this? Just because you have food, so it's time. Go before we run out. Next line, it says, V'yomer, and he said, Hinei shamati, behold, I have heard, Yeshever, the Mitzrayim. I have heard that there is provisions in Mitzrayim. By the way, if you look at that, the first time it says, Vayar Yaakov, right? Then it says, he tells his kids, I heard. So that's why Rashi has to say that he saw it through a vision. That's why the Midrash is forcing to say that. Because otherwise, he should have used the same thing twice. Vayishma, Yaakov, and so on and so forth.
Again, so I'm assuming that, again, the expression he saw that there were is like we use the English today. Again, when somebody explains something to you and you said, I see.
Oh, so that's when you explain it. There's no explanation here. He just says, and he saw. What did he see? You didn't know that there's, how would you see? Somebody has to come to him and say, hey, you know, Egypt does food. Oh, I see. I'm going to send my kids. There's nothing preceding this.
In contrast to, right after that, it says, I heard.
Right.
So in other words, why did it have to do it twice?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
It had to mean something different.
Right. So that's what he says.
Other than just heard.
Correct. Okay. So then it says, I heard this food provisions in Mitzrayim. Redu Shama, go down there. Redu Shama, not lechu Shama, not go to there, go down. So there's two things you can learn very quickly on go down. One is Israel is the highest spiritual plane on this planet, so therefore every time it's Yerida, I'm always going down. Wow. But the other thing is the numerical value of Redu is 210.
Oh,
you hear what I'm saying? Before you raise your hand, the numerical value of Redu is 210. So what Yaakov is, again, he doesn't know he's saying this. He doesn't know it. Yeah. He's speaking. Sometimes Hashem, again, that divine sense of humor kicks in, and we say things that are prophetic in nature, but we don't know it. So he says, Redu Shama, go down there now. You will be there for 210 years. Again, he doesn't know that. He's not. If he knew that, then the game over. Okay, we're going to be for 210 years, kids, and don't worry about it. Count it down. No, he doesn't know that. Okay. V'shivru lanu misham, and then you'll buy for us there. V'nichye, and we will live al namut, and we will not die. Obviously, if we're going to live, we won't die, right? So then, what does it say? That we're going to live because, and it's again prophecy, prophetic language. We will live because we'll see Yoseph there, and we'll be reunited. Yeah. What's your question?
Isn't Hebron on a mountain?
Say again, please.
Isn't Hebron a mountain?
What?
Didn't we learn that last time on when Yosef went out to Shemaiah's brothers? He said he went down from the. He went up from Hebron or down Hebron?
Up from Hebron to the place that
was it up from? Okay.
So what would be your point? Why Redu?
I thought Hebron was on a mountain. So if it's I don't know what geological.
No. So again, what I'm saying is go down is two things because Egypt is going to be probably higher. So the question is, why is it Redu? Why not Lech? Right. Why not go? Just go. What's the language of Redu? So that's what I'm telling you that whenever it's Redu, it's because spiritually Israel is up there. Okay. That's all. It's always down. But the second thing, and that's the more important part of this midrash, is the 210 years. Okay. So the language is specific. What it said in the last time, you'd have to actually look, and that was the Parsha of Yosef. So he said, Huna'ar, that would be the second Aliyah. He says, Ve'yelchu. Oh, I'm sorry. He says, Lecha. He says, Lecha, go. Yeshlecha aleihem. It doesn't say anywhere that he's going down. Okay? So now, next. Vayirdu ache Yosef asaras. So the 10 brothers of Yosef went down, Lishbor Ba'mi Mitzrayim, to buy grains from Mitzrayim. So what does Rashi says? Vayirdu ache Yosef. It says they went down. V'lo katav b'nei Yaakov. It doesn't say the children of Yaakov. It says the brothers of Yosef. Why? The Malam made shahayu mid chartim mechirato to teach that they were regretting that they sold him. Well, it took 22 years, okay, Baruch Hashem, but now they regret they sold him. But not nulibam that naigim obachava, and they decide that if they find him, they're going to treat him like a brother. Ulavduto, and they're going to redeem him with all the money that whatever anybody asks for. That's number one. Okay, that's the first thing we heard. Then it says Asara. Why does it say 10? So it says Halo Kativ. It's going to say in the next verse that Binyamin, the brother of Yosef, didn't go, so we know that there's 10. We don't have to be told that. So why do you have to tell me 10? Because it's talking about, if, as far as brotherly love, they were separated into 10 pieces. They all had their own likes and dislikes, as it were. But they didn't all love or like him equally. But when it comes to buying a grain, they all agreed. Everybody had the same agreement. We have to buy food. Good. So now, as I say, I'm trying to run because I want to get to the part I really want to get to, but I have to give the background. We have Binyamin Achi Yosef, and Binyamin, the son, brother of Yosef, Lo Shalach Yaakov and Achav. Yaakov did not send him. Why? Because he said, Pen Yikra'enu Asum, lest an accident happen to him. Why was he suddenly worried? Rashi says, in the house, nothing could happen to him. Well, what's the problem? Anywhere you have an accident. Says Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, Mikan, from here, Shasatan Mikatrek B'shat Zakina, that the Satan, the divine prosecutor, prosecutes in the time of danger. This is the time of danger. Yeah. If Binyamin had any faults, this would be the time to get him.
It's a long trip.
No. In other words, this is I should never willingly put myself into danger. Okay? So Yaakov's Rachel died on the way. She died on the road. Yosef went out and something happened to him. So, it's not a good situation. And now you had, now he doesn't want to send Binyamin. It's the last one from Rachel. He doesn't have any more kids to lose. So he's saying, something going to happen. I don't know. Maybe the Satan will find some reason. I did something, he did something. Whatever. Mind you, it's interesting because he is, at this point, Yosef is 39, so that he's 6 to 7 years younger. Let's go for 7, and say that he's 32. So he's no longer under his father's protection. In other words, what happens is, God forbid, a child dies under the age of bar or bat mitzvah. We say that's a parent's thing. The parents do something, and Hashem takes. I don't know how this works. I will not try to defend it. I'm just getting what the Midrash says. That the child can sometimes die for the sins of the parents. So when somebody dies that young,
under 13.
Under bar mitzvah, bar or bat. So 13 for a girl and 12 for a boy. So 12 for a girl, 13 for, I said the other one, I'm sorry. 13 for a boy. Thank you. Okay, so if the guy say Chas Shalom, a child dies, so there's a lot of other excuses we can give. We can always defend it, but that's when the parents sometimes, it's the rabbis when it says that it's in the Torah, it's in Devarim, where it says your children can die for your sins. Okay, mostly we say they don't die for the sins. Mostly we say it's because of some Gilgul or something. Okay, fine. But I'm just saying they could. When it comes to 32, though, you can't claim that anymore. Binyamin's 32. He has kids. He has 10 kids. For crying out. Come on, he's not going to die because he's going on the highway. So now you have to say, and that's why Rashi says that the Satan is Mikatz, he's prosecuting in the time of danger. So if Binyamin did anything wrong, maybe did something wrong, this would be the time to get him. Okay.
So the time of danger is that you're leaving home.
You're leaving home. You're going on the road, which is, again, you have to do tshuva before you go on the road. Anytime you go on the road, you should do tshuva. You should do tshuva every second, but besides that, you do tshuva. It's only for that. Okay, so what happens? V'yavo b'nei Yisrael, and b'nei Yisrael came, l'shbor b'toch ba'im, they came to buy grain in the midst of the ones who were coming. Ki haya ra be'eretz Canaan, because there was a famine in the land of Canaan. Okay, fine. So he says, what does it mean? What does it mean in the midst of the ones who are coming? So Rashi says, Ma'atminim atzon, they hid themselves, so they should not be recognized. Why? Because their father commanded them that all of them should not enter through one entrance. Rather, they should enter through different entrances, each of their own entrance. That way, nobody will look and say, cast an evil eye upon them, because they're all strong and good looking. So if you see 10 brothers coming through, and they're all strapping young men, although the oldest one is around 40 odd too, so there's really not that young anymore. They're all married. Everybody's married with kids. And nonetheless, they were good looking. So they said, we don't want ayin hara, so you go into different, everybody takes a different gate. Don't come together. And then you merge together. Now this is going to really impact. Think about that. You're coming from 10 different gates. There's 10 gates here. 10 boys, 10 gates. So they're all come from different sides. And then they're going to come together. What does that look like to you?
Like they're planning something.
Spies.
Ah.
So, like, mapping out the areas and meeting.
Right. That's what it looks like. So this is going to play against them. Okay? But so I'm giving you a heads up for that one. The Yoseph, and Yoseph, who ashalit al ha'art. Yoseph was the ruler. The ruler's the wrong word, but he's how they say it? Viceroy. Okay, I know how to get viceroy.
How's it usually used?
Shalit is okay. I'll use viceroy, but he was a ruler. But you had Paro, who was really the ruler. So that's what I'm saying.
So the word shalit generally means ruler.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, didn't he have Paro's signet ring? I mean, he
Right,
had the
he had
authority
that,
of
right,
Paro, so
right,
he was
right.
ruling it.
Okay. So who are mashbir l'chol am ha'aretz, and he was the one who was causing everybody to be fed, the whole nation. V'yavo achei Yosef, and all the children and the brothers of Yosef came. V'yishachavu lo apayim arza, and they bowed down to him with their faces towards the ground. Oh, so did he complete a dream?
Oh, yeah.
You say yes?
Wait, hold on.
No, you say no? Why yes, why no?
Wait, hold on. What's the dream? The sheaves.
The first dream.
With the sheaves.
Yeah, the sheaves.
Benjamin's not there. No.
But Benjamin's not there, so he didn't even complete the first dream. Okay? So now that's the Ramban, by the way. The Ramban, Nachman says he didn't even get the first dream. Now, okay. I just have to watch. You have to keep me, because there's a part I want to read that gives a very nice thing as why he did all this. But this runs to the story, so we see it. And then what happened? So they bow down. Rashi explains that he just that Rashi there. No, okay, fine. What happens? Vayar Yosef. Yosef saw ki erachav, his brothers, v'yakirim, and he recognized them. Well, okay. How do you recognize them after 22 years?
Piece of clothing?
Huh?
Piece of clothing?
No. If you would come to me 22 years with that jacket, I can guarantee you I'm not going to recognize
He was
him.
17.
He was 17 when he left, and they were, and now he's 20, and now he's 39.
Okay, so their faces, and maybe their hair was getting a little grayish, but their faces wouldn't have changed that much.
Oh, good. And what else?
Character.
No, what's the
They're
face?
still dressed the same.
I hope
What,
not.
the
I hope they changed their fashion in 20. They had beards. They had beards before he left. He doesn't have a beard before he left. That's the famous midrash.
Oh.
Okay, so that's what it means. And he recognized them, and he acted like a stranger to them. In other words, he made himself. He was speaking harshly to them. V'adivera itam kashon. That's what the pasuk says. He spoke with them harshly. V'yomer alehem me'ayin batem. From where do you come? V'yom ruan esem eretz Canaan l'shbar ocha. And they said, we come from the land of Canaan to buy food. Oh, now he knows for sure. Now the question is, again, if I'm not looking for somebody, I'm not going to see them, right? I mean, I've seen people that I knew from years ago, and unless they didn't change at all, I'm not going to recognize them.
Especially out of context, they're expecting at most, if they run into Yosef, he's going to be some slave.
Correct.
You know, they're looking for some slave guy.
Correct. Correct.
You know.
I remember sometimes when I go to New York and I'm walking through, what's it called, Flatbush, and suddenly someone says, Rabbi Neville. I think, who knows me? First of all, it's Rabbi Neville in that area. And so, but I'm very nice about it. You know, hi, how you doing? You know, feel like that. And then they say, and then I said to him, by the way, I can't place. How do I know you? Bangor, Maine, or this place or that place. Wow, and you recognize me? I'm really impressed. Okay, I remember. But it happens. It happens that sometimes you don't change, but the other one did. So, but I also remember this one too. I was once, but when I was still a single man. What happened was I decided, against my mother and father's wishes, I was not living in their house anyway at that point. I decided to grow a beard. And when I grow a beard, as everybody knows, I don't trim the beard. I just grow the beard. I could be the hipster. There you go. Could be a chassid or a hipster.
Just kind of grows
Just grows.
radically.
Okay. Well, it went down to about here, I'm guessing. Okay, whatever it was. And I had long hair, longer than this. If you can imagine, okay? Not like your husband. Not like your husband. But it was longer and so on and so forth, okay? And so I went to a singles event, and this girl that I knew for many years, I mean, we hadn't seen each other, we never dated, but we knew each other from about 5-6 years ago, whatever it was. And so I went up to her and said hi. I recognized her right away. I went up, hey, how you doing? And she's looking at me and she's saying, sorry, who are you? I said, you don't know who I am? And
cover up the beard there.
no, I didn't do anything. I said, I can't believe you wouldn't know who I am. I kidded on with her for a little while. And I said, it's Fred. She said, shave your beard. That was her response. Get a haircut already. But that's when it hit me that here's a person who knew me and couldn't recognize me because of that. I left without a beard, Yosef, and now I had a beard. And again, longer hair. A little longer, but she didn't recognize me. And it was so strange. But it showed me that I guess if Superman puts on those glasses, people won't recognize him as Clark Kent. I don't know. It's possible. I don't know. I always thought it was crazy, but okay. I always knew who he was. I don't get it. The Green Arrow and all, they put a little mask on, something you can't tell what it is. I don't get it. But apparently that's true, because like you said, I'm not looking for them. Here, Yosef, as we'll find out, he's really looking for his brothers. He knows they're going to come down. He knows he knows the dreams for prophecy, and he needs to fulfill them. Which is, again, we'll get into this whole. I want to get into it. So, but you still have to hear the story. So what happens is Vayaker Yosef again. It says Vayaker Yosef et Echav. So now Yaakov certainly recognized him because, like I said, they left with the beard. And Vahem lo Kiru, but they didn't recognize him. By the way, while he can recognize Reuven, which would have been old enough with a beard, his younger brothers, forget Binyamin. You have kids who are only 2 years older than him. They didn't have beards. But now what happens is, and that's why I have to say again, Yakir Yosef at Echav, he recognizes his brothers. Now he recognizes the other ones. Now he says, oh yeah, okay, now I can see the face. Right, it's all context.
See somebody you recognize and realize, oh, that's even friends of theirs. You'll recognize that they're with them.
Correct. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So now what happens? And now the Midrash says, very interestingly, it says, "Vayakeh Yosef recognized his brothers." In other words, when they were transferred into his hand, his power, he recognized that they were his brothers, and he had compassion on them. This is a musar. They didn't recognize him when they fell into his hand, and they didn't treat him like a brother. That's what we're hearing from Vayaker. Okay, so now Vayizkor Yosef. Yosef remembered Eida Cholamot, the dreams. Asher Cholam Lehem, that he dreamt about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you said something. You said he recognized them when they fell into his power, but they recognized...
They didn't recognize the brotherhood when he fell into their power.
Oh, okay. I thought you said when they fell into his power again.
No, when he fell into their...
When falling into the pit.
Right.
Okay.
That's when they didn't consider him the brother. They just consider him the enemy. But here they are falling into his power. They have to listen to what he says, and he still recognizes them, has compassion on them as brothers. That's what it means by Yakir. Okay. Then it says, like I said, so he remembered the dream, and Rashi says, and he knew that they had fulfilled it because they bowed down to him. The Ramban says, no, they did not fulfill it because you need 11, and Binyamin wasn't there. It's an argument between Rashi and the Ramban. Okay, it's an interesting argument. And then, so what does he say? He remembered the dream. And he said to them, Maraglim atem, you're spies. Out of all the groups that came in who were buying food, nobody ever was called spies. He only calls them spies.
He must have had information from some people that came to him that said, well, they all came in
Oh,
separate cases.
good. Very good. And it says, he tells him, Lirot and Ervad Ha'aretz Batem, you came to see the nakedness of the land. In other words, how you're going to conquer it, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what he saw. And what you're saying is very good. You'll see that you are 100% correct, according to Rashi. Okay, next verse. Vayomer, so 10. Vayomer love, and they said to him, Lo Adoni, no, my master. Your servants came to buy food. That's all we came for. Don't say that we didn't do anything else. Kulanu b'nei ish echad nachnu. We are all children of one man. Kenim anachnu. We are trustworthy. Lo hayu avadechem meraglim. Your servants are not slaves. Rashi, spies. Rashi says, when they said, all of us are the child of one man. Rashi says again, nitzeh behem ruach hakodesh, the divine, what do you call the ruach hakodesh?
Divine presence.
No,
The Holy
Spirit.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit came out from them. V'kalalu imahim, and included all of them, even he, Yosef. They said, Kulanu ish, all of us are from one children, and including Yosef. That's, again, speaking prophetically without knowing you're speaking prophetically. Okay, they're thinking it's about himself, but they said, Kulanu. Okay, fine. So then he says, Vayomer Aleihem, and he says to them, Lo, no. You came to see the nakedness of the land. And Rashi says, why did he argue on this? Because Shahare Nichnasatam Ba'asara Sha'are Ha'ir, because they entered through the 10 gates. And so he says to them, why didn't you enter through one gate? If you're all brothers, you should have entered through one gate. So what happens? The Sifti Chacham explains, Yosef knew that his brothers were going to come to buy food. And he commanded the guardians of the gate that all who come through the gate, they should write down his name and the name of his father, and then they'll come and show it to him. The guards will come and show it to Yosef. 10 guards of the gates came, and every one of those places, they had Reuven ben Yaakov, Shimon ben Yaakov, and this way, it was known that they entered through 10 gates. And if you're going to say why, so then the Sifti Chacham is asking Rashi. Why didn't Rashi explain this above when it says you came to see the nakedness of the land? So there it was to say that here it's proven afterwards when they say we have 12 brothers. So he says, what is the answer have to do with the question on when you're saying you're spies? But rather, by force, you need to say that Yosef from the beginning said to them, behold, you entered in 10 gates. And they answered him, no, because really we're all the brothers of one father. And one brother isn't here. And because of that guy, we spread out throughout the whole city. So they defend themselves. They're saying, it's true we entered through 10 gates. But the reason we did is because we have one brother who was lost.
So they claimed they were searching.
Yeah, so we were searching for our brother. That's all.
What was the original reason that was stated?
Because of Yaakov?
They were afraid of being all together.
Yeah, because Yaakov said it's an Ein Hara. So Yaakov says an Ein Hara.
People would see 10.
Right, so it's 10 strapping young men. They're going to have jealous of them. So that's one thing. The other thing is that, with that being said, again, they're not using that reason. They could have said, our father told us that it's not nice because we don't want it. It's an Ein Hara and so on and so forth. But the king won't understand that. The king will say it's a stupid excuse.
And maybe in reality then, they took their father's advice and split between the 10 gates. And maybe then as they split, they said, hey, maybe we could look for our...
No. They were doing that because they had in mind... It could be, but they also had in mind to look... That was their thing. Okay, so Vayomru, and then they say again, Vayomru, Shnei Masa Avadecha Achim Anachnu. We have 12 brothers. Okay, we have 12 brothers. B'nei ish echad ba'aretz Canaan, the son of one man in Eretz Canaan, v'hinei katon et avinu hayom, and the youngest one is with my father, is our father today, ve'echad nenu, and the other guy we don't know. So what's his answer? V'yom aleim Yosef, Yosef said to them, Hu asher dibrati aleichem le'mo meraglim atem. It's just what I said. I told you, you're spies. Okay. What happened? He says, the thing that I said to you that you're spies, it's true and it's correct. That's the simple understanding. The Midrash is, he said to them, and what would happen if you found him? And here, let's go with your logic. You're your brother. So what would happen if you found him? And so you said, they said, and so you would put out as much money as to take and you would redeem him. And they said to him, yes, that's exactly what we'll do. We'll redeem the kid. We want him back. Then he said to them, and if they don't want return for any amount of money, what will you do? He said, so then either we'll kill or be killed. He said to them, it's like I told you, you came to kill out the city, and now, and how do I know? Because I know how to read the tea leaves, as it were, with my cup. That two of you destroyed the big city of Shechem. Whoa, we're going back for 100 years for that one. That was when Shimon and Levi were 13. And so he was 14. Yosef would have been 14 minus 7. He's bringing a son that happened so many years ago. Think about that. Okay, but he says, I see that you guys, you don't take prisoners here. Okay. So that's why he says, right. Now, the other thing I want to show you is, again, the Sifta Chacham, he goes at length through this. I think it's right here. He says, it was a question to Rashi. It says, that which, again, Hu asher dibarti, that which I said, which is implying that they also said that they were spies. Therefore, Yosef says to them, it is like I said. And it's not true that Kihem Lo, because they didn't say that we are Meraglim. So the answer is like this, that it was fitting to write at the end, Kolomar, as if to say, that which I said to you that you are Meraglim, that's true. So the question is, how did Yosef accuse them of Meraglim? And how, wait, that's not what I wanted. It's the wrong one. Mm-hmm. See, when I use different chumashim, that's the problem. Because one second. Maybe that's what it was right there. Maybe you already read it. Sorry?
No, I'm just putting my cup to my ear so I can hear the ocean.
Oh, you can hear the ocean? Okay.
I can throw water on it.
There you go. Okay. So, yeah, it is, yeah. So, yeah, it's okay. You can also ask the other question, how is it true? So he says that they would bring Binyamin if they weren't spies. He says, so dearly, it appears to me that this is the explanation from the beginning. He said to them, you are spies, because you entered through the 10 gates, like Rashi explained, and Safek Mikol Atona, which was the most questionable about what they were doing. And that's okay. So he was saying that the question after question after question was the problem. In other words, we're missing something in the dialogue here. And we have to understand that that's what's happening. That when you miss the dialogue, and so he filled in the last part of that when he says Yosef knew that they bought it and so on. So they knew they were going to come down. He set the whole system up. So now when he knows they're going to do it, he knows their history, and he knows that what he has to check out is, why isn't Binyamin here? That's what he really wants to know. So if you look in the Art Scroll on 233, the question is why Yosef concealed his identity and persecuted his brothers. This is the most asked question in the whole story. So he says, as noted before, you have to finish this quick. Yosef knew that his dreams were prophecies that had to be fulfilled. And he knew that he had to do all in his power to bring about that result. This is why the Torah stresses that when he saw them, he remembered the dreams. He also knew that the two dreams had to be fulfilled in sequence, the first and then the second. So far, 10 brothers had bowed, but his first dream called for all 11. Therefore, he had to engineer Binyamin's appearance with the brothers. Let me just finish. And only then could Yaakov come for the fulfillment of the second dream. Were it not for this obligation to carry out the dreams, Yosef would never have allowed his father to languish. This is all the Ramban. For so many years without knowing that his beloved Yosef was alive. The Midrash, however, explains that Yosef kept the secret from Yaakov because of an oath imposed by his brothers. And he would have been guilty of a serious sin in inflicting anxiety on Yaakov, first by sending his brothers home without Shimon, and then by demanding Binyamin be brought to him. Similarly, the anxiety Yosef later inflicted upon them by hiding the goblet in Binyamin's sack was for the sole purpose of testing their love for Binyamin before allowing him to travel with them. So that's number one. The Ramban also adds, I'll get to your question. The Ramban also adds that from Egypt to Israel is only a 6-day journey. He's in Egypt. Okay, when he's Potiphar's slave, he can't do anything. When he's in jail, he's stuck. But you became viceroy.
Take a week off.
No, send a message. Don't take any time off. Send a message. Send a message. Hey, Dad, I'm alive. Okay, and the answer is he couldn't do that because he knew the prophecies had to come true. So he knew he had to bide his time. It was sad for his father, but he couldn't do anything because if he would have called him, they would have come down immediately. Things would have been messed up. So he has to let Hashem do the working. He knows it's going to happen. That's why he sets up this whole scenario that the brothers have to come to him. That's why he only had, imagine, out of all of Egypt, they only had one store open. They had to come to Yaakov. They had to come to Yosef. Yeah, he had exactly what he wanted. He knew they would have to come, and he had to have these dreams fulfilled. That's why he makes up the whole thing about Binyamin. And bring Binyamin back. I'm going to put them into jail. Marakim, bring them back. Then he says, in another explanation of Yosef's behavior, Rav Hirsch maintains that Yosef needed 2 tests before he could be reunited with his brothers. One, was all rancor against him solely motivated by how they perceived the underlying motive of his dreams, or were they resentful of Rachel's special place in their father's affections? If the latter, then they could be as much of a menace to Binyamin as they had been to Yosef. And if Yosef had revealed himself now, when they were in power, he would never know how much hatred lingered beneath the surface. Therefore, he wanted to put them in a situation where they could gain their own freedom at the expense of Binyamin's, and see how they would react. If they hated Yosef when he merely dreamed of being a king, how much more so would they hate him now when he truly had power of life and death over them? Therefore, he wanted to show them after the long chain of events, he truly loved them and had only their good intentions and interests at heart. This, he was sure, would melt their long-standing resentment. That's how they want to explain it. Like I said, there's a major question. How could he do this? And the answer is he had to let the prophecy happen. That's how everybody defends it. Yeah. Your question.
The second dream, it says the sun and the moon as well as all the 11 other brothers.
Correct.
Does Yaakov still have any wives left?
I'm not sure about that, but it could mean, by the way, the Ramban looks at that and says, it meant Yaakov, that's the sun, the star, the sun is Yaakov, the moon is the 11 tribes, and the 11 stars would be the kids. The 11, the kids that come from that's the way he answers it. Because most people say that the wives, all of them did die, but then it says in the verse that they came down 70 besides the wives of Yaakov and his kids. So you could say the wives, not all of them, certainly Rachel's dead.
Right.
Rachel's dead, Leah probably died, Bilhah is probably passed away, Zilpah's the only one because she was very young, who may have been hanging around, but nonetheless, it's like I said, it's 22 years later. Okay, we'll have to stop here.
Okay.